Oh my god. Oh my god.
Ooh.
We get a crosshair and
I'll have to find another way to put that up for next episode. In the meantime,
hey everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Melissa.
But I'm also a host, Matthew.
The lesser important host. The more important host here, right?
Well, older brother, so automatically makes me more important.
Nope.
I've lived longer. I am older. I am wiser.
No.
Do not disrespect me.
I'm disrespecting. The disrespect is
you must obey me. I'm older. I'm wiser. You must obey me.
Okay.
What's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well. We're doing pretty well. I mean, coming off an episode like that, you got to be excited. Very Star Warsy episode, guys. Very Star Warsy.
Really exciting. I am so excited to break this one down. So we're going to dive into it, and you will be proud of me. I wrote down a little synopsis.
Oh, there we go. All right, let's give the people what they want. Give them the synopsis. Hit me with chips.
The synopsis is, in episode 6, the Bad Batch accept a mission from Sid to retrieve a tactical droid, but while attempting to retrieve it, they run into a few familiar faces with the same goal.
Wow. Excellent synopsis, Melissa.
Thank you.
Excellent synopsis. Very well put together. Brief, to the point, and sets up the episode quite nicely here for us. Awesome episode. Let's get into thoughts real quick.
Yeah. Do you want me to give my overall thoughts, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay. I loved this episode. It felt extremely Star Warsy. It was gorgeously animated. The environments were over the top incredible. I could not get over how good they looked.
Yes.
We got some plot. We got some good, juicy plot this episode.
Hell yeah, we did.
Specifically with the ending, with the mysterious contact. We got to see some of the story with what's going on with Wrecker. We're slowly getting into this dark part of the series that's going to hit us at any point. I'm so excited about that. And we got to see Trace and Rafa Martez, which I did not expect in the slightest.
Who's that?
So that's funny that you say that, because in season 7 of Clone Wars, if you remember, if we go back, you know how Rex had 3 to 4 episodes at the beginning of the season, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to Ahsoka and she has her 3 to 4 episodes. Do you remember her arc with the Martez sisters?
Oh yeah. See, I didn't like that arc very much. Let's get in terms of like Clone Wars, like it was so good, right? This last season was amazing. Those were the episodes I didn't like as much. But now that you're bringing it up now and it's like connecting again, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. And now I'm gonna have to go rewatch those episodes now. Mm-hmm. Because now I remember and I'm like, okay, awesome. But that also gives us a lot of fuel to theorize as well.
Yeah, I am bursting right now, dude. So why don't you give me your thoughts and then we'll just get into it.
Yeah, so I thought great episode. I totally agree with you. Super Star Warsy. I got like world building was incredible. Animation was unbelievable. Sound design in this episode.
Yes.
Amazing.
So good.
Yeah, like just so good. And I really felt a lot like The Mandalorian to me, with just like the storyline and like the way they played it out. It was very well done. The story was just a very fitting story for like what Bad Batch is.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's typical, like we've talked about this. There's a lot of filler episodes where it's you go do this mission, you help me out. It's like same with Mandalorian. Go do this mission, grab whatever for me. But this fit in really nicely. And like, I'm totally cool with an episode like this because there was a lot unveiled. And obviously big reveal at the end. Super awesome. Action sequences in this episode. Unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
Very similar to Attack of the Clones factory scene with Padme and Anakin. Obviously we get the battle droids as well, which is really cool. I loved that. A lot of sound effects too they used from both the prequels and like Rogue One. That you heard a lot of that stuff. So I love that integration. a very artistic episode, I thought, and very well thought out. I thought this is one you can tell they put a lot of thought into.
Yeah, absolutely. You really feel like they have their footing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hit their stride. You can tell, like,
yeah.
It's like with doing a show like this, like, or like when I do my podcast, it takes like, 5-10 minutes for me to like get in the flow of like talking and, getting into, the conversation or whatever. It's the same thing with this, they've done a couple episodes now. You can tell they made those first episodes first, and now they've gotten into it. They're like, all right, we know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing. Yeah.
We're going to hit the beats we want to hit, and we're going to hit those plot points we want to hit. And it's very strategic now, and you can tell. I thought this one was excellent. It's one of my favorite episodes. I still think the first episode's probably my favorite so far, but this one's probably number 2. Definitely up there with number 1. Very well done overall.
Yeah, just a real testament to like the animators and the writers and just everybody who puts their heart and soul. Like, you can tell it shows through their work. It's just unbelievable. But let's just go through the episode. One of the cool first things that I noticed is that they go to Corellia, the planet Corellia, which is,
I wrote that down in my notes as well.
Han Solo's home planet.
Which made me think, is there a possibility we see a young Han Solo at some point?
That would be awesome.
They're mentioning Corellia. That's not an accident. I mean, obviously it's a planet that we all know of and we're familiar with, but that's Han Solo's stomping grounds right there. So how cool would that be if we got a young Han Solo at some point, just even as a quick
cameo? Yeah, that'd be so
because
good.
If you have someone who comes in and like with an impeccable voice impression of Harrison Ford, young hunk Han Solo would be amazing. It'd be so cool. And that made me really excited. And it might seem far-fetched. Like, if you're listening to me right now, like, they're never going to put Han Solo in. All right. But people also said that about Luke not being in Mandalorian. But that was my first inclination there too. I was like, it's got to be Luke. It has to be Luke. If they don't do Luke, they're making a mistake. I feel like I'm kind of getting the same feeling here, where like, if there's an opportunity to put a young Han Solo in, even if it's for 1 scene,
1 second or so,
that's a huge Easter egg, and it's going to be a huge crowd pleaser, and it's easy to do, and we help build the world of that young Han Solo more.
Well, if you think about it too, that character that was in Solo, Dryden Voss.
Yep.
That guy, how he's like, and Maul is controlling the crime syndicates. There could be an opportunity to bring in the crime syndicate in Bad Batch 100%. And have them interact, because the Bad Batch are pretty much mercenaries at this point now.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little later. I don't want to get into that now, but that kind of ties in a little bit towards the end of the episode with some other fan theories that are going around, which I disagree with. But anyways, keep moving forward. Corellia, obviously, huge thing.
Trace and Rafa Martez. So the sisters show up. I did not expect that. And now that I see it, it makes perfect sense. I just didn't expect that in this following episode. But now that I think about it, it's a really great idea, because not only are you utilizing these characters again, which amazing, they don't let any characters go to waste. I really appreciate that. But also it's the potential for where the story could go by bringing those 2 girls in. Unbelievable. Like, I'm so excited to see where it could go, but I didn't expect them. I thought they had a really fun dynamic with the Bad Batch.
Yeah. And you can also tell that they've been thinking about this for a while. Like, they put him in that last season of Clone Wars for a reason.
Yep.
And this is part of that reason. And they're going to play a larger part later. So you can tell, like, that's what makes me excited, is I'm like, oh, they put a shit ton of thought into this. Excuse my language. But they thought it through, and they're like, these characters are going to be coming back and back and back. So now that you're pointing that out to me, that they were in that other, which I wouldn't have caught unless you told me.
Yeah.
Like, that tells me that, all right, they're going to do this whole season totally correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the dynamic of the Bad Batch for a bit, because you and I have been talking about this for the last couple episodes with Omega. Obviously, we got super New Zealandy Omega in this one. So, Echo, Echo. I like a ham and sandwich. I like a ham sandwich, please. I like some tea and crimpets. Whatever's New Zealanders eat. I don't know why she's so New Zealandy, but beginning, it's what we talked about, maybe either last episode or the episode before, where now you have Echo teaching her how to shoot.
So cute. Did I not say this? Did I not say I wanted this? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The episode opened and I was like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Oh my God. Echo is such a grandpa. This is so adorable. I love this.
Yeah. And now she's like, learning, and they're
Yep.
showing that process of like how she has a unique relationship with all of them. As we've theorized, this is why you come to the show. We give good theories, and that's what's happening.
You get the deets.
You get the deets.
You get the deets.
And she has that cool Dathomir bow or whatever the hell that is.
Zygerian.
Yeah. Very cool. Great weapon. Very unique. And you get to develop the relationship with them a little bit more.
I did laugh. So, and as we come to find out, Sid is still in this episode. She's still giving them missions and whatnot. And
great character, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic character. I love the comment that Sid makes to Omega. She's like, "You can't shoot because of your weak noodle arms."
Yeah,
like, that's me.
Yeah, that is you. You have weak noodle arms.
I do. I have the weakest noodle arms.
But you can tell, like, they're like, also when Echo's teaching her, is it Echo? Oh, no. Yeah, it's Echo.
Echo's teaching her.
And you can tell he's using like training from when he was a clone. Or when he's like a youth clone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that dynamic's really cool. So she's like learning. Also super irresponsible of these dad figures. Just bring this little girl out to their missions and like, oh, go off by yourself. You'll be fine. No big deal. And then she's like, getting in trouble, and she's in this factory and falling around. And it's like a story where she's going closer and closer to the molten lava. And you're like, hey, maybe look after her a little bit more.
maybe someone should babysit.
Yeah, look after her a little bit better. John Rambo, you're not doing such a great job.
Yeah, John Rambo was slipping up a little bit in this episode.
Slipping up a little bit.
I got
lines in this episode too.
We got some what?
Great lines.
Oh, we did get some good lines.
Yeah.
You're right, and I know which line you're talking
Which
about.
line am I talking about?
Is there an echo in here?
Yep.
I gotta be honest. I have to talk
so
about
corny,
this.
but so Star Wars, but so great.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Is it cheesy? Absolutely. Did I love it? Yes.
Okay, it's the same thing as like, I've got a bad feeling about this. Yeah, okay, that's so corny, but that's Star Wars.
Yep.
You have lines like that. Oh, is there an echo in here? Yes, I'm like, oh, that's it. Corny.
There it is.
Yes. Fitting.
Yes.
Also, yes.
I loved that line. I thought it was so funny. It's so dumb, but I love it so much. And I'm really glad they threw that in there. But Matt, I do want to talk about this little Order 66 thing that we got going with Wrecker. What's going on here?
Loved this. So there's several elements in this, right? So obviously Wrecker bonks his head again. Okay. This is like a big oh no moment. All right. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, no. And I'm like, all right, they can't just keep doing this. Like something's got to happen at some point. And then it does.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear the voices in his head, go soldiers follow orders. Heartbreaking. Also, the music playing in the back.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The atmosphere of the music and that, like, I'm such a proponent of movie scores and like music playing, like that's what makes movies. You don't realize it, but that's 100% what it is. And during
that's why Star Wars works.
That's 100%. That's why Star Wars is Star Wars. Honestly, I'd say it's 50-50. Like 50% of it's a film, but if Star Wars didn't have good music, like the Cantina Band didn't have that in there, or you didn't have the Imperial March, or you didn't have, the Force theme,
mm-hmm.
You don't have Star Wars. And so it's such an integral part of what the brand is, and they did not disappoint here. It's like a dark undertone as after he bonks his head, and you're hearing the voices and stuff, and you're just like, oh shit, this is getting real very quickly. So
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah,
what that reminded me of? In the episode Shattered of Clone Wars, where Rex and Ahsoka are bringing Maul back, and Order 66 is coming, but the music just makes you uneasy.
Yeah, because this is the problem I had with the sequels, is I don't think they integrated enough of the original music in places where they should have, because that's what connects people to those films. And now John Williams is awesome. Love the guy. Incredible composer, amazing musician. However, I think they made a mistake, and I don't think this is his fault, by the way. I think it's the editor's fault. I think I think he said something like they were using Yoda's theme when they should have been using, another thing. You can't mix those things up. But I think one of the mistakes made, and I think even the editors would admit it, was you didn't use those pivotal moments where you could be connecting the audience to their nostalgic side of them, you know, and using those themes. And it's a very powerful device artistically to, like, you know, connect the audience with what you're seeing. And I think they did a very good job here with the dark Empire undertones when he's having his little like flashback thing. So I thought it was awesome. Like that was one of the best parts of the episode when he's sitting there and you can like, he's like, he gets like shot on his shoulder or whatever. And like, he's like laying down and you're going, oh, wow. Like, okay, what's going to happen? You know, like, is he going to go full out crazy? And like, I was even sitting there, like as I'm watching it, I'm like, what happens here? Like, where do we go?
It reminded me of how it reminded me of how Rex fights off Order 66 when he's first given the order. It reminded me a little bit of that, because if you notice, Wrecker only snapped out of it when he heard Omega's voice.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's a great detail.
So when he's hearing the voices and you hear Crosshair and the whole good soldiers follow orders, he's struggling to pull himself out of it. And then when Omega calms him, he immediately comes out of it.
Wow, I didn't notice that at all. See, this is details. This is why you listen to the show. Great detail right there. I did not notice that. That's great.
And going back to the first episode, if you remember when Tech is telling the Bad Batch, like, oh, this is why our inhibitor chips aren't working, is basically because we're modified and we're different. Now we're seeing that's not really the case, because then if Crosshair can turn, that means that any of them can turn.
Well, also the kind of, what did Hunter say? He said something like, she's like, you're just a clone. He's like, well, we're a little different. I felt like there was a little bit of a hint there to like, he thinks he's invincible.
When Hunter is speaking to Rafa.
Yeah. I felt like there was a little bit of a hint there to like, I feel like I'm invincible now because I've defected. I'm fine, you know?
You think it can't happen to me syndrome is happening here.
Kind of, yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, we're different. Like we defected our own thing. And it's like, well, we're kind of saying the opposite right now with one of your buddies.
I think like you even said an episode or two ago, you're like, they could all start, or maybe I said that and I suggested like they could all start turning one by one, and then you have this massive buildup of, oh no, what are we going to do?
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought Wrecker was going to turn that in there and they'd have to either leave him or restrain him somehow. But it is smart that he's the one who's having the problem, because obviously he's the hardest to restrain.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm thinking about too now is the clones don't necessarily need to see a Jedi to like all of a sudden turn and be loyal to the Empire. So the chip basically makes the clones turn against the Jedi and go, oh, they're traitors, bam, 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 you're dead. And also it shifts their loyalty from the Republic to the Empire. So initially I thought that Wrecker would have to see a Jedi to go ballistic, but maybe his turning is only just him betraying the Bad Batch and then eventually calling the Empire to turn them in.
Yes, and this all ties in towards the end of the episode.
Let's talk about the end of the episode, Matt. I'm dying to talk about the end of the episode.
Yeah, well, did you have any? I feel like we're skipping the middle of it. Did we
I know, but I'm so excited about the ending.
Oh, the other thing. Oh, Italian droid. The droid noises, a sound design in this episode. Blasters, awesome. You can tell how much detail they put in, because obviously the Republic blasters sound very different from the Separatist blasters. I know this is such a dorky, stupid detail, but it matters because there's time and thought and energy put into that.
Yeah.
And also with the police droids.
Yeah.
Voices so cool. Like whoever processed those like vocals on the back end, like whenever they record their lines, awesome. But there's also the one thing I will say. There's like this one droid who's like an Italian droid. He's like, oh, the mamma mia.
What?
Yeah, he sounds like he's clearly speaking some kind of Italian romantic language. I don't know. I'll send you the clip after this. Maybe we can put it in here. Yeah, but it's a very specific moment. It's in like the very middle of the episode. Super Italian Star Wars droid. But sound design was very cool. The way they set that all up was awesome. I loved that.
I totally agree. It's awesome and it's just different and it's so cool. I just love the sound effects that they throw in there. It's amazing. But I do have to say, 2 episodes ago, you were complaining about the police.
Yeah, well, It's fair
There
because they put details into good things and they didn't put details into police. Every policeman on the universe in a galaxy far, far away has red and blue sirens, and it goes. You can't have like a different. You can't have like an orange and purple light and be going like. Boop, 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 boop. Like you can't just change the noise like that. Like it's the easiest thing to do. And they're clearly paying attention to details. And so like it's not a knock. I'm just saying you put so much time and energy into these other things, you couldn't just change up what the police people look like on these planets.
Well, all I'm saying is that they definitely listened to the show and took notes because now you have police droids. You happy, Matt?
Maybe they edited it. Maybe they heard me and are like, oh, wow, Matt Thomas doesn't like this. So we've got to change it. We got to fix it. Yeah.
We need to fix it.
Let's talk about the factory scene for a little bit and the animation. The animation was amazing this episode.
Yeah, it kind of just went off.
Yeah.
You can tell they just snapped.
You can tell they put a ton of effort into this. It cannot be easy to do with the cinematography, like the different focusing, like in that moment when Omega's trying to grab whatever her name, sister twin arm, and like the focus changes, like all these different things are like those details matter a lot, and it shined through, and that could not have been an easy thing to do. And it was a very intense scene. Like the whole episode was essentially a action sequence.
It was, but you know what it reminded me of?
What?
It reminded me of Toy Story 3. When I was watching it, all I could see is just, Woody and Buzz and Jessie, and they're all holding hands about to
Same
burn.
thing. Also, like I said, very similar to Attack of the Clones. It rhymes. It rhymes. It does. And they do. That's definitely on purpose. Like it feels the same. Obviously they're in a droid, like, breaking down factory, whatever it is. Very similar to Attack of the Clones. They're making droids. This one, they're breaking them down. It's later on, obviously.
Which, by the way, it's those little details, like actually showing us what happens to droids after the Clone Wars. Like, these are the little questions. It's like, okay, this is what happens to the clones. They eventually get decommissioned. But it's actually cool to see the flip side of that. Like, what happens to all the droids? There were millions of them.
Yeah, and now they have some control over them.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Obviously, now we want to know, what are the sisters' motivation? So this is where we get towards the end of the episode. Obviously, they come in, they try to steal the head of this decommissioned
tactical droid,
and they find out someone else is after it as well. And you're like, well, what the heck? Side note, that's the name of my show, What the Heck Podcast. Shameless plug.
Very shameless.
You're like, what the heck is going on here? And we find out, we're like, all right, well, she talks to Hunter, one of the chicks, and is like, hey, we're fighting against the Empire. And he's like, all right, well, we kind of are too. We don't really know what we are, but yeah, we can get behind that, and
one bro to another.
Yeah. And they get the information out of this droid. They activate the battle droids. Obviously, they start fighting all the other police droids. Great stuff. They pull a nice act and help Omega when she's about to Toy Story it up into the fiery volcano abyss, whatever it is. And yeah, I mean, it's a very good progression, I think, of events there.
I do too. It was beautifully shot. I you know how they'll do the motion blur on the backgrounds and stuff. That really pops up to me because they weren't even doing that in season 1 of Clone Wars, which is just a testament. It's like I go back and I watch season 1 of Clone Wars and you watch what they're doing in Bad Batch. It's just ridiculous to me how far that jump has come in, like, what, 10, 12 years? Yeah. It's a big jump. Long Cinematically, time. It looks like a feature-length movie. Like, this show is good enough to be in theaters and have its own separate episode in a movie theater.
I agree. And I think a lot of people are turned off of it because like, oh, it's a cartoon, whatever, like stupid, but it builds the Star Wars universe so much more. And if that's what you're really interested in, like, check it out, Yeah. And so we get to the end of the episode and
we hear about the fact that Trace and Rafa are also trying to retrieve the tactical droid for their own client. Correct.
And we found out essentially they're rebels for all intents and purposes. Early stages
of
rebels.
Are they?
Well, that's like what the story's trying to tell you, right? They're saying they're against the Empire, right? So you're like, that's your brain goes, oh, they're
rebellion.
The rebellion, because they're against the Empire. But not necessarily the case. So end of the episode, Hunter's like, all right, well, you can have the information. We copied it, but you guys seem to be using it for a better purpose. Here you go. And they go on their ship and they're like, what does she say? She's like, sent you the information. First of all, there's an R2 droid in there.
There is. Did you recognize it?
From an earlier episode from what was it? The first episode, second episode? Or where is that from? The green, what is it called? An astrological droid? Astromech.
Astrological droid.
Yeah. Whatever. They put it back together, obviously, so it's fixed, which is great. But they transmit to a person. We don't know who. Let's theorize on this in a sec. And they're like, hey, we got the information for you. Also, there's a troop of clones I thought you'd like to know about. Seem to be rogue or whatever.
Yep.
And it's a hologram of someone. We don't see them. We see a half of a silhouette of them.
Yep.
Who the twins are talking to. And we don't know who it is.
We don't know. Or do we?
Or do we? I think we know. It's pretty obvious, in my opinion. It's
I
pretty
think
obvious.
We know. Let's talk about that, Matt.
So let me tell you my thoughts first.
Okay.
And you can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. So as I'm watching it, I go, Maul, Maul, Maul. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Calm down. Definitely not Maul. Then I think this could be Rebels. And I haven't seen all Rebels. I've seen a couple episodes, Rebels, haven't seen all. But I think back season 2, something like that. Same idea. And it's
you mean in Rebels or Clone Wars?
Rebels. And there's the same droid in one of those episodes with like just the head of the tactical droid.
Oh,
and
man.
Ahsoka's talking.
Hey, wait a minute.
She said, wait, let me finish what I'm saying. And Ahsoka's saying like, hey, we got to find a friend of mine. And they use the tactical droid to find the friend of her. So this rhymes with what we're talking about.
I'm so proud of you.
It is who the friend she's trying to find is Rex.
Okay.
And that's who it is. Obviously, it has to be.
Okay. First of all, knowing that you haven't seen all of Rebels, A+ for research. Stamp it right there. A+ for research. Because when I was watching the episode, I've seen all of Rebels. I haven't watched it in like a year and a half, 2 years, but I remember all of it very, very well. When I was watching that scene, especially in the beginning, when they bring up the tactical droid, the first place my mind went to was that scene with Ahsoka when she's handing the the tactical droid head to Sabine. And she's like, you need this to find my friend. So I can't believe that you actually knew about that, because I wrote it down. I was like, oh, Matt's not going to know about that, but you beat me to the punch. So congratulations on that.
I'm not as stupid as you think. Listen, you're the smarter Star Wars dork here, but I can pull out some nuggets once in a while. I know I'm a little dorky too. I can pull out some good information from Star Wars, and I just pulled that one out.
I am proud of you for that. So A+.
Well, the thing was, to be honest with you, I was like, okay, is it Maul? That was my first reaction, because you see like a robe on the person, whatever. And I'm like, maybe because that's like, it's during that time, that would be a cool reveal. Then I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. They would not be aligned with someone like Maul, even though that would be cool. These chicks are not going to be in the same kind of party as Maul. And I'm like, wait, Rex, because you and I have been talking about this last couple episodes. I'm like, all right, when does Rex show up? And I'm like, oh, it has to be Rebels. And so then that's where your mind goes. It's like, all right, well, when have I seen Rex there? And then you think about the episode where they go find him. So it's Rex. It's 100% Rex. And it makes 100% sense with what you and I have been talking about how Rex is going to be the one who helps Wrecker.
Well, also, if you think about it, Ahsoka has a history with Trace and Rafa. And so what my mind automatically is led to believe is that maybe Ahsoka and Rex went in hiding, and Trace and Rafa were the ones to hide them for a while.
Yeah.
And then Ahsoka could be the link that connects Rex to Trace and Rafa.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
And honestly,
Ahsoka definitely be a part of it.
We know that Rex and Ahsoka split up at some point.
Yeah, we just don't know
when. We don't know when. So
because
Rex
also
and
in
Ahsoka,
that same episode I'm talking about, Ahsoka's like, oh, I haven't seen him in a really long time. Last time I saw him, this is where he was.
The other thing too that I wanted to mention is I think there is a potential that Rex and Ahsoka are still in contact, at least with each other.
Yeah.
Like they're still in contact or they're still together. The other theory that I saw going around that I kind of think is possible, I still am pretty gung-ho on the fact that it's Rex, but other people were saying that it could be Bail Organa.
Oh, yeah.
Leia's dad, the senator.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's possible. I don't see that being as likely. I mean, like Bail's like an awesome guy. Like he's super nice. Like he hid Obi-Wan, he hid Yoda. So I could.
Well, that's the other thing I thought. I was like,
yeah.
oh, maybe it's Obi-Wan. And then I was like, well, he doesn't really have motivation to care about clones.
Yeah, he's kind of got his own problems with Luke.
Yeah, I'm like, that's probably not the case. But that would also be cool. Like if we see him at some, because think about this, if they tie him into this show, obviously the Obi-Wan show is coming out.
Oh, that's
you have a little bit more background you can cover before the show comes out. And I don't think that's very likely. I'm just saying it's definitely possible. I don't think it's likely, but maybe, because like if you're doing this Obi-Wan show, you want to build hype for it. Better way to do it. It's an easy way to do it. You have Obi-Wan come in at some point, maybe. I don't know. Then that's the thing about the show that's great, is like the possibilities are endless. And you're right. It could be Bail Organa.
It could be Bail Organa.
I think it's 100%. It's one of those two.
It's one of
those.
It's
either Bail, who's connected with Rex, or it's Rex himself. I don't think there's any other possibility. I don't think it's Ahsoka. I don't think it's.
I saw some people saying that it was Ahsoka, but I'm like, that doesn't really make any sense yet, because in Rebels, she's hiding under the alias as Fulcrum to help the rebellion.
Right. Well, also think about this when they're like, oh, like the way they phrased it, they're like, call him.
It's
like, okay, call him.
And
also they're like, you'd be interested in this, right? And it's like, who'd be more interested in clones than a clone?
Yeah.
So to me, it's obvious. To me, it has to be Rex.
It has to be Rex.
If it's not, then it's Bail Organa.
If it's not Rex, it's Bail Organa. If it's not Bail Organa, it's somebody else.
They'll do what they've been hinting at this stuff. Look, you and I have predicted this pretty accurately so far, by the way. So I think we're right. I think it's Rex. And if it's not Rex, it's Bail Organa. I mean, either one works.
I just had a thought. So if Rex is going around helping
Jango Fett.
Stop. If Rex is going around helping clones remove their chips, is it safe to assume that when he visited Cut LaQuaine in the second episode, he helped him remove his chip? In the second episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Because I didn't see a scar on his head. Because Rex, if you remember, like when Rex gets his chip out, he has a scar on his head where he got the chip out. When we see Cut LaQuaine, there's no talk of that. There's no evidence that he had a chip removed. And that's just a random thought that hit me where I was like, oh, dang. Did Cut LaQuaine initially have like, was he like, oh, I hate Jedi, and then like didn't act on it?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. They're going to tie that in, I think.
I hope
they have to, because they want to just put him in the season without having a reason for it. They are thinking about this. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm with you. I think it's Rex. I think Rex is the only person that makes sense because Ahsoka knows Trace and Rafa, and Ahsoka can be that connection from Rex to Trace and Rafa.
Yeah, so I think we'll see Rex first, and we'll see Ahsoka towards the end of the season. I do think we'll see her at some point, but it won't be long, which is good. But I don't think it'll be a big like they did that whole silhouette thing with the hologram on purpose, and I think it's gonna be Rex. Like we all know, we saw him in the preview for the show.
If it's Rex, he got a sick new poncho, and I am so ready to see that design.
Agreed.
I want Rex in a poncho. He needs the poncho touch. Every great Star Wars character needs a poncho. Qui-Gon Jinn, Luke Skywalker
needs a poncho.
Every person needs a poncho.
God, I wish we would see more Qui-Gon. I would do anything to see more Qui-Gon.
Hey, Obi-Wan show coming out. We could get some horsey things.
Don't tease me like that. I would do anything to see Qui-Gon Jinn. Oh, just to hear his voice, his creamy, succulent voice. Anyways, do we have questions?
We do. I'm actually surprised that we have questions, Matt, because I posted like 30 minutes before we were going to record and a ton of people responded. So I'm like honestly
It's
shocked.
a good episode. That's why people have a lot of thoughts. So let's get into them.
We have a lot of thoughts. So let's get into this. So It's Sally 3000 says theories on who was the person that the Martez sisters were talking to. It is Rex.
Yeah, obviously.
And if it's not Rex, it's Bail Organa.
Yeah.
Only two contenders here.
Come on.
Come on. Okay. Jasoka.arts says, I think that the character at the end is probably Rex because there was a toy leak of him in a poncho.
Ooh, yeah. Well, obviously you're right because that's our theory. So let me type that in.
Everyone needs a poncho.
Rex poncho. I'm typing that in just to verify.
Jasoka Arts, Matt is verifying this toy leak.
Yeah,
it's probably on Reddit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're right, and we already talked about this, and I, totally agree. Oh wow, you can get a what's his name? Cal Kestis action figure.
Focus.
All right, sorry. No, we agree. Obviously, we talked about that. We're right, Melissa. You and I are right. We're smart.
We are. Also,
but thank you for your question. But you're totally right, and we agree with you.
Beauty and the Beskar says the way Omega was handling the bow at first was very realistic for a first-time archer. So much detail. I agree. Because Omega is a child and she would not be great at that. And if she was at first, I would be annoyed.
Yeah, but they even told her, like, you missed the first 8 times or whatever, and she shot it. She's like, I've already hit 3 times already. Okay. But, like, yeah, I mean, she has noodle arms.
She does. Like me, Omega.
They're making it realistic where it's like, oh, she's a kid. Yeah, obviously we get that, But yeah, interesting point.
Lily Parker agrees with you on the music. She says how the music had changed during the time Wrecker had hit his head.
Boom. Thank you, Lily.
Ba-bam.
I'm very smart, obviously. Super smart. I'm like the smartest person in this room. And agree with you. Music makes all the difference. So I'm glad you noticed that as well. I thought that made a huge difference in the show. So thank you for pointing that out, Lily. I think you're totally right. And it means that, like, if you're paying attention, if the writers and animators are paying attention to those details, like, they're doing everything else with purpose. So that's really what it kind of leads to.
Richard R. 1997 says, I'm wondering how Wrecker and everyone else are going to handle the inhibitor chips.
I am too. That's actually a great thing that we haven't talked about because I meant to bring this up earlier, but I think that's a great point. Like, if it's affecting Wrecker, it's going to affect the other ones at some point. It has to, right? Obviously, they haven't bonked their head as much, but who knows where this is going to go? Like, is Rex going to have to be Superman and come in and save everybody? Or is he going to have to save just one and then the rest of them come in after? We don't know.
Well, think about it too. Tech has been building a chip scanner thing. If you remember in like the 3rd or 4th episode, he's like, I'm going to test the ability of our inhibitor chips. And then Echo's like, I thought you said they didn't work. And Tech's like, it's good to be sure.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. So we don't know, but yeah, that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. I think Wrecker's gonna be going through some rough stuff next episode, and we'll see how that plays out. But that's definitely something to keep in mind, and that was definitely in the front of my mind when I was watching this one.
Yeah, good point, Richard R. 1997. Hidden Scribble. Hidden Scribble says, something I see no one is talking about is the fact that both Matt.
What? Finish reading it.
Oh my God, this is so good. I didn't even catch this. It says Hidden Scribble says, something I see no one talking about is the fact that both Martez sisters had DC-17s. That's the clone gun. The clone blaster.
Oh yeah, actually I did notice that because I was wondering. I was like, where did they get those from? And I thought maybe I didn't rewind. I thought maybe I missed a part of the episode, but I definitely noticed.
I noticed the blaster, but I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, that's kind of unusual.
It's so funny you say that, Hidden Scribbles, because I thought the same thing. Like when she's shooting, she's like pew pew pew, and I was like, oh wait, did she grab it from one of the clones? I was like, where did she get that blaster from? Dude. And I was like, oh, maybe I missed her picking it up. I'm like, I'm not going to rewind it. It'll be fine. I never went back, but that's a very good point.
Dude.
So
that means that they could have already met with like Rex in person and he could have given those to them. Oh my God.
Yeah, and so that's 100% Rex is the one. They're meeting at the end. Thank you, Hidden Scribbles. That's a great detail.
Scribble, that is an awesome detail. I cannot believe I didn't think of that. That is so good. And then Hidden Scribble. Detail. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. And then Hidden Scribble says, I think that and R7 is definitely pointing to Rex as the contact. Because R7 is the
R7, sorry,
droid.
Yeah, the
droid that they had with them in the last episode of Clone Wars. You can see behind Rex in the very last shot of Rex in Clone Wars, behind him is R7 in like mashed up pieces.
Yeah. Then it's 100% Rex.
Then Rex and Ahsoka fixed him and gave him to Trace and Rafa. Oh my God. I love this.
Wow, great connections here. Thank you, Hidden Scribbles. You give some good insight to the show. You should just be on the show more.
Hidden Scribbles is just killing it. One and only .jj says, Omega getting trained as a literal child soldier like her brothers. The rest of the clones were, and then it trails off because the question wasn't long enough.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on this, but yeah, it's funny how they're like training her to be a soldier and bringing her out like the worst dads in the world. Like, guys, leave her on the ship, lock her in a room or something. She's what, like 11? Like, what are we doing? Poor girl.
That poor girl. Yeah, I agree. One and only JJ. I'm sorry your question got cut off too. Lord Licorice said a lot of things, but I'm going to say my favorite comment from Lord Licorice 1977, which is Omega will shed her noodle arms.
She's going to become buff and just like.
And then she'll stop asking for ham sandwiches. She's drinking protein shakes.
Ricks and Ika?
Ricks?
I got a little bit of bread here and some ham. Morning's Omega.
I think that's it. I mean, let me double check to be sure.
No, it's great, guys. Great insight this week. We appreciate it. Obviously, keep writing in and Hidden Scribbles. Nice work on the details there.
We do have two more.
Okay.
This interactive calendar says, do you think we'll see more of Sid? Yes, absolutely.
100%. Recurring
without a
character
doubt.
For life. Yeah.
A great character.
Yeah.
Recurring character for life.
Yeah, she'll be around for a while.
Okay. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing this username right, but it's Zukong24. And Zukong24 says, how do you think Wrecker was able to shake off the inhibitor chip's effect? Omega.
Yeah.
It was Omega.
Melissa, I think you're right. That's a very good question. Because it's not like you can just think about it and go away. I mean, maybe you can because that's kind of what Rex did, but I don't know.
Well, Rex has a prior relationship to Ahsoka. Like they were really, really good friends. And also Rex knew about Fives, who was talking about the chip.
Yeah.
Wrecker doesn't
mention it at all towards. I thought they would say something about how he said something to the rest of the group about like, oh, I was feeling this or that. Maybe we'll see that next episode. Who knows? Next episode's going to be crazy.
Ooh, I'm so excited, man.
Yeah. But good point. Excited. I mean, who knows where it's going to go. I don't know how he's able to fight it off. I think you're right, Melissa. I think it's Omega. That's like your brain goes somewhere and you're able to like kind of fix it.
Yeah. And he was able to
I didn't notice that until you said it. Yeah.
Grasp. He was able to get back to reality as soon as he heard her voice. Because it's like clones are saying good soldiers follow orders. So if he's constantly hearing other clones like yelling in his ear, it's not really going to have much of an effect. And then when he hears Omega, who's a child who he has an emotional connection to, that's enough to go, I have something to fight for.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be interesting. Next episode will be great.
I am still so hyped about this episode. I'm like,
very hyped. Great episode. One of the best Star Wars episodes we've seen recently. So.
Oh, I do have to mention, we haven't seen Crosshair for 3 episodes.
I know, that's a little weird.
What's he doing? What's murdery evil Crosshair doing? Is he murdering some more of Saw Gerrera's people? What's going on?
Who knows? They're gonna plan something with him though. I trust the writers. I trust they're gonna do something good.
What if we see like a Crosshair Rex stand? Oh my god! We get a Crosshair and
apples up.
The best thing ever.
That's what we get. And with that, we we will leave you with that.
We'll leave you with that.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Oh my God. That was amazing.
Look, I've been changing sets lately, if you guys didn't notice. Stay on target. Unlike my poster here, which is made of tin, so it's a little heavy. But stay on target.
Ever.
I can't shake him.
I can't shake him.
We love you guys. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Keep writing in. We want to keep hearing your theories. You guys add a lot to the show, so obviously keep writing in.
We do.
But next episode will be great. I'm excited for next week. That'll be awesome. In the meantime, go follow us on Instagram at *_wars_pod, and follow us on Twitter at the same handle. Keep writing in, obviously. Like and subscribe if you can on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. I don't know if we're on Apple yet. I think we're still working on that.
We are on Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcast, Radio Public, Spotify, and we're still trying to get through to Apple, but Apple's been having some issues.
Yeah,
so.
Apple's up. I'll have to find another way to put that up for next episode. In the meantime, go to YouTube and watch it, because obviously it's more pleasurable to watch. And then keep writing in, and then tell us about what you think next week. Write in immediately after you watch it, so we get your fresh thoughts and theories.
Leave a comment or a theory. We want to talk about them on the podcast.
Yeah, and we'll call you guys out, and share it with your friends. If you guys enjoy the show, share it with your friends, and tweet at people who tweet at us if you think we should have a guest on the show, or if you want to be on the show, whatever, just let us know. We're around, and excited for next week.
I'm excited for next week too. I know I got my theory cut off, but we'll keep sharing those, and hopefully you'll get some better hanging Star Wars posters.
Hopefully, I'll find out a better way to put it on the wall next time.
Okay.
We'll see. But
we'll see.
It's better than having a background of my kitchen. So
that's true. Catch you guys next episode. Bye.
See you later, guys. Bye.